Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Stacey.
And this is the Body Smart Podcast.
And we are women's weight loss experts on a mission to help you permanently feel in control of your weight and your health. And talking of empowerment, we have a guest on today who is all about this. She has built a massive following online with her spicy language and her very direct delivery of the information that you need to feel confident and to get yourself in the gym and get yourself feeling strong and healthy. So we have with us Rachel Henley on the show today. Thank you very much for coming up.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. Really, really excited to be here. So
it's great to have somebody who's very much on the same page of just like cutting through the BS, just like tell people what they actually need to know, and also just breaking down those stereotypes of what people think like being fit is, or like even your persona online, you very much go against that like female fit chick on Instagram. Like, I love it. Is
that a compliment?
Yeah, it is.
It is a compliment.
It's also fake, and it's so like, oh, I'm wearing my hashtag ad skinny seamless leggings, whatever, and you're just like, I'm here in my t-shirt. Yeah. And I love it because it's real. And like we bumped into each other in the gym this morning, didn't we? And you admitted to me earlier, you're like, I was in my pajamas, and I was like,
yeah, I didn't even have a sports bra on. I was living free, and she came in, and I just washed my hair, put in a top knot, and then you walked in, and I was just like, oh, hi. Just like well half pajamas. And I did put on some trackies though, so kind of at least treated the world to that. But yeah,
I was in the top that I slept in, so
love that.
We're all good.
Yeah, we're in good company.
But that's what I think. You know, people look at what's on Instagram. They think, oh, I've got to put my makeup on to go to the gym, or I've got to wear like this lycra outfit, or I've got to like look the part. You don't, like you really don't. And I love that you live that and you show that. And it's really important for people to see role models who can make it feel more accessible, which I know you're very passionate about.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny that you say that, because so often I get comments on my videos saying, oh, where'd you get this gym fit? And I'm like, charity shop, cancer research, Amazon basics. Like it's always just what's cheap and it's not going to be see-through when I squat. That is like basically what I'm always looking for. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So how did you get so passionate about this, like just encouraging women to embrace it for what it is, getting fit and getting strong?
I think there's certainly a few influences for me. I think one was my own journey and what that did for me in terms of like when I first started lifting weights, it was something that I used to help build confidence and just really support my mental health. But like alongside that as well, growing up with a mum and a dad that went through every single diet possible. It's like seeing that. And
so you have both parents?
Both parents, well, they would go through it together, and just seeing like the impact of like how their relationship with food was and how many years it kind of took from them, I think, to find the right way to kind of support their body and those sorts of things. When I understood those sorts of things, was like, we don't need to be taking 20 years to figure out how to make our body feel good, how to feel a bit more confident. And so I think like the reason that I really went into helping other people is, yeah, one, because I felt the benefits of it myself, but also seeing my parents go through that and then not wanting other people's parents to kind of go through that and be in a position where you can go, well, you can sort out your nutrition and training so it adds to your life. It doesn't become like this big, horrible thing that is like a chore for you to do, like changing that relationship with people that have battled it for so long and it's taken so much of their life. I think it was just such an important thing, I think, to get to a place where people feel at peace with those sorts of things, to say where they can train because it helps them feel good rather than a punishment that they do, or and like with nutrition again, like not seeing that as like, oh God, I've got to eat a carrot and now I feel horrible about that. it's like how can we do things to add to our life and feel good about that? So I think it was just trying to have more people like feel that good. It was just a really cool stamp on the world, I think. Yeah.
And you mentioned about your mental health, like fitness was a big outlet for you.
Yeah.
When and how did you discover that? Because that's something that obviously you guys share.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, well, if you don't know my side of things, I really struggled. Just probably like if I don't exercise for a couple of days, like I struggle with just be dealing with myself. So, and it's if I'm like not sleeping well, or if I'm not eating well, or if there's other things that are like out of whack, like it's the time of it just gets condensed down. So it's like a huge anchor and outlet for me, and it makes me feel like calm, best version of myself. So exercising on a regular basis or like a daily basis now is like it's like it's such a grounding anchor for me, and it's just something I've been able to keep up since I was like 15 in essence. And I was lucky to find that out because like my mum actually would just, I'd be in the house and I'd be this like ratty teenage boy and she'd be like, just get outside and go for a run, and I'd come back and I'd just be like alive. And it was such a huge way of me just dealing with my own emotions. And that's always been like, that's very much been my why to keep exercising. Obviously all the other benefits are like feeling good and looking good and putting some muscle and feeling strong and building the discipline around that's been great. But it does always just come back to like, I'm doing it for my head first most of the time.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I would say I'm more on that side of like, that's a core reason of why I train. And like, yeah, so a bit about my like starting into the gym. So I had a panic disorder all the way through like childhood. So I remember I had my first panic attack. I think I was 6 years old, so year 2 in the UK. So I think that's 5 or 6. So too young to even be understanding what it was. But I just would have a phobia of something, and it would consume a lot of my life. So from the age of like 6 up to like 8 or 9, it was thunderstorms, and it was so severe. It's like if it was cloudy outside, I'll be on edge all day because I was like, that cloud's going to be. It's like, and with phobias,
in the UK,
yeah, I know, it's absolutely screwed. And it's like, and I think that's the thing with like phobias. It's like it's not rational. Like it would just be like a beautiful day. It's like there's a cloud there, and my mum would have to be like, Rachel, it's not going to be a thunderstorm. But in my head, we'll go and ruminate on it and get to a position where I just feel so anxious, and it would come out as like a panic attack. And then it's the funny story. They went to someone helping my parents to be like, how can we help her overcome this? So like exposure therapy would be a good thing potentially. So they took me to like the south of France where there's thunderstorms all the time. Got over it, but at the same time was there with a friend, and she had a sickness bug. and then so when that happened, my fear literally just latched onto vomiting. So then after that, vomiting was my phobia. And that I still have that today. Like that is still a phobia that's there. I can deal with it a lot better, but like through teenage years, it will be, again, that would be a phobia that I would latch onto. And it was like, it would get to such, I say ridiculous, I can understand my brain, so I don't want to be mean to myself that it's ridiculous. But like, again, with phobias, it just takes something that's irrational and then just puts you on a complete wild ride. So it would be something like I would hurt my knee and I'd be like, I'm going to be sick because I've hurt my knee, because someone was sick because I hurt the knee, and then I'll get a panic attack because of something. So like something like that. So it would be very over consuming. And so with that, I did go through just like, from like a very young age, like I had like a therapist when I was like 10, 11, those sorts of things. And then something that they suggested to me was to just do more exercise. I already did quite a lot of exercise because I was quite a hyperactive child. So I did like football and tennis and martial arts. I did like pretty much like every sport under the sun. But something that they suggested was like getting into a gym and doing something independent, so you could do it on your own time and just do it when you need to calm down, all those sorts of things. And yeah, that ended up joining a little school gym. It was probably about the size of this room, which is like a tiny little school gym. Had like a barbell, a set of weights. And I was 14 at the time when I first started. And I actually said on the paperwork that I was 16 so I could get in. And they're like, because the doctor said it, they were like, yeah, it's fine. We'll just keep an eye on you when you come in. Just let us know that you're here. And yeah, that's when I like first started weight training. Obviously didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of used some of the machines and those sorts of things. But that routine of like walking to the gym, training and coming back and having that kind of anchor point to my day that was in my control and those sorts of things, it did really support like my journey on getting more comfortable with like dealing with like panic disorders and those sorts of things. So that was like the real root of it. And most of that is not in my life anymore, thankfully. Like over years, this was obviously like over 10 years ago now. But it still comes up now and then, but it's I think from the multiple tools that I've used, it's got me to the other side where it doesn't take over my life. It's a part of my life, but it's not a starring role
what
anymore.
Are
so
like some of those tools? Obviously, you've mentioned exercise, but like, is there other tools?
Yeah, so I think like the first tool is like that baseline of like, it might not immediately get rid of like the anxiety and things, but if I'm doing it, anxiety is going to be less. So routine around exercise, getting outside regularly, eating well, sleeping well, those basic kind of things like that has like a foundation of strength, I would say, to just be able to deal with my emotions and those sorts of things. But like when it comes up, if I do have like a panic attack, it's just that reminder of like, I've been here before, I've survived it before, and just kind of talk through it and just kind of rationalize it with some like grounding breathing techniques and those sorts of things. And that's actually something that I know has come up in my content now and then. There was a post and it like, I think quite a few people saw it and lots of people ruminated with it, of like, there's people that struggle with panic attacks like I do, and the gym becomes even more daunting because of that. And especially with like resistance training or HIIT workouts or running, whatever it is that you get out of breath if you train hard. Like you like it is uncomfortable, that discomfort when you push yourself in the gym. And I remember when I first started doing that, because especially when my phobia was vomiting and so dizziness, like it was all kind of connected. It's like it can kind of bring on a bit of anxiety actually in the moment. And so something that I found with myself that really, really helped with that was, one is always having a get out. Anyone with panic attacks will always know you have like your get out of like, you don't have to force it. Sometimes you can, if you are feeling a bit more anxious, take it a little bit slower, just really focus on the movement quality and focus on form, or do something that feels good. And then if it starts to feel better, then you can maybe push yourself a bit more. And then...
So is this like you basically saying the harder you start to exercise, the more it feels like it's inducing a panic attack?
Occasionally. It doesn't happen too often, but I know people as well that...
And that's because you're getting like...
Because you're out of breath and you're overstimulated kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, that has got a few crossovers to panic attack symptoms of being out of breath, going, oh my gosh, like that's like a scary place to be. And so sometimes it does kind of induce that a little bit. So so I did find sometimes just giving yourself permission sometimes just to do it imperfectly, like just slow it down and just get the reps in, and sometimes just move slow and be like, it might not be the best session in the world, but it still probably will make you feel a bit better afterwards. So sometimes having that permission to dial it back, how you're feeling, and then more times you do that, the more confident you get, and then later on you probably find that you can push yourself. But then other things are just like general like techniques just to kind of ground yourself in the moment and just kind of take yourself out of that ruminating headspace. So like two things that I would always do is, one is just breathe in slowly and count it up to 10. So do 10 breaths, big breaths in, 10 big breaths out. And then the other one would be like just describing the room around you, just sit there and just, because then nobody knows what's going on in your head. You might feel a bit insane sometimes, but like you can just go around and describe the room, and like that quite often can ground you and just let you kind of carry on with your workout. And if it all feels awful, then I'll just go home. If I just can't, I'll give myself a little bit of chance to bring it back, but if not, I just kind of go home. And so I don't necessarily have that too much anymore. When I first started training, that was quite a big barrier. So it's something that I think just over time, and I think that's the thing, the really important thing is just like with that discomfort, like not quitting because of it feels uncomfortable. Like give yourself the permission to do less, do imperfectly, but try again and show up again, because the more you do it, more, especially in that context, you expose yourself to, you know what, it's okay. Like anxiety is often just like displaced fear. So it's like, just prove to yourself like it's not that scary. You'll survive it every time. And then over time, you just kind of, I think, feel a bit more confident in that. And then, so now it's not like maybe once a year I will take too much pre-workout, and then that will usually trigger it.
I think that can trigger most people.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, I go a bit dizzy. I was like, oh gosh, what have I done? But like now it's not really something that happens. But definitely in the first couple of years, when it was at its like the panic attacks were at its height, it was certainly something that I'd had to kind of work through and find those things.
I think that's really good advice. So whether somebody is struggling with anxiety or they just feel a bit uncomfortable in the gym, those are really good tips, because it is something that holds a lot of people back from even setting foot in maybe the gym. Maybe they go to the gym, they just stick to the machines, and like they look over there at the weight section and think, not for me.
Yeah.
And so you've given some great tips there for like if you have made that step and you're in there and then it all starts to feel too much. But how do you overcome even those thoughts in the first place of like, I would really like to try it, but it's a bit scary?
Yeah, so for like someone that's maybe just starting in the gym and that initial, the typical gym anxiety that we all feel, everyone that's been experienced in the gym also started at that first day, didn't they? So, but yeah, I think there's a few things that I certainly recommend. I think what I mentioned there of like that, like the willingness to do it imperfect, like you don't have to go in and do everything 100% on your first day. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to conquer every aspect of the gym straight away. And quite often I'll just get people to, like with my clients that are struggling with this, it will be, how can we start to just feel more comfortable in that environment? Do something that's safe to begin with. Like it's almost like instead of just jumping out of your comfort zone, go into like a bit of a stretch zone where you have 1 foot out of your comfort zone, but also like a little bit of a safe thing of like, okay, this is something I could do. So that could just be doing the machines, but keeping an eye over there. It could be getting a gym induction or working with a PT just for 1 or 2 sessions, just so you can start to feel a bit more comfortable. And then after that, you can start to maybe do a little bit of something else. And like, for example, what it might be is that you grab some some weights, you walk into the weight section, grab some weights, but then you go to the corner of the room and then you do something that you know you feel comfortable. Like, it might not feel like the best or the most optimal thing, or you see online you need to be doing X, Y, Z, but honestly, just starting is such a powerful thing, and like make it easy for you to start, reduce that barrier as much as possible, because once you started, like the way that you build confidence isn't by just thinking about, oh, I'll do it one day. It's like you've got to go in there, get your hands a bit dirty and get the reps in. And it's like you got to start with the reps you can do, and then after that then you can push yourself a bit more. So I think it's like give yourself that foundation. So go in, do stuff that does feel a bit more comfortable, and then over time look to expand your horizons. And I think something that can really help with that is having something like a structured program or a coach or a PT or something, just to kind of help you with that. Actually, on my page, this is going to be a shameless plug, but I do a free 10-week program for people to download, which is literally designed for that. So it has like a 4-week phase of you getting used to all the movements, and then it starts to teach you how to like push it a little bit further and those sorts of things. But I think those are the main things that I work through.
It's just increasing the exposure, isn't it? So it's just like no matter where you are, it's just like a little bit more, and then just a little bit more, and it's like it's small enough of a step that you feel comfortable doing it, but not too much of a step that it puts you off. It's kind of that like middle state. But like, so I've been going to gym since I was 15. I'm 33 now. So what, 18 years? Holy shit, that's a long time. And I'm working with a coach at the moment, like a flexibility and strength coach,
nice.
called like Ranger Strength. And he has me doing some wild exercises. The type of exercises that typically I would have seen someone else in the gym doing and been like, you don't have a fucking clue what you're doing. Like, this is ridiculous. So even me, who's been going to the gym for 18 years, I found even lately when I've gone to the gym and been doing some of these new exercises that I'm doing for the first time that I've not done before, I'm a bit like, oh, I feel a bit stupid. Like, I don't really know how to do the movements or the exercise. And I'm like, are people looking at me? I'm like meant to be a trainer, a coach. And like, so I'm even having those thoughts as someone who's been in the gym for 18 years and I feel as comfortable and confident as could be. But even then, when I'm taking a step slightly outside my comfort zone of doing something new, it still feels a bit like I'm doing, like, this is a weird movement for me. But like, obviously once you master it and you get used to it, you're just like, oh yeah, it feels fine. But like, yeah, I still have those thoughts. And
I think that's really important to share, because I actually had that this morning where I started doing a workout, and because I'm quite pregnant at the moment, stuff doesn't feel great sometimes. So I started doing something and I was like, oh, I need to take the weight down, and everyone's going to look at me and judge me and be like, why is she wimping out? Why is she putting the weight down? Why is she just going to do bird dogs?
Did you do the classic, did you do the little head shake? Because they go, people looking at me, they know I should be able to lift this weight.
And he's like got like a very visible reason.
You just like shake your head and like stroke your belly. You're like, it's the nugget that's done this, not me, not me. I'm still strong.
I mean, even with that very obvious reason, I still feel like people would look at me and be like, oh, well, she started with a 10 kilo. Why she just put it down? And nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares. The only people in that room this morning were like middle-aged blokes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That, like, if they were looking at me, they'd probably like, bloody hell, she's pregnant, she's in the gym. Wow. Like, they probably weren't thinking what a wimp for putting down the 10 kilos. Yeah. But your head just goes there, doesn't it? And 100%. I think it's really important that people who are listening know that we all still get those thoughts.
I mean, all my content's filmed in the gym, and I'm making dick jokes left, right and centre. And people can hear what I'm saying. And sometimes you get a little look of like, and I've got like a camera and a tripod. And yeah, I did feel like a freaking tit in a toy store like the first few times. But after more reps, you kind of, again, you get a bit more used to it. And I put it massively to the test. So I was in New Zealand for 6 months this time last year. And to keep making content, I had to make new content in the gyms I was going to. So it was a new gym every time. So it was like I was going into a new gym, which I still get a bit daunted by, like 10 years in. I'll go to a new gym, just like even like today, like, oh gosh, what's kind of going on? And then I was having to record on top of that and thinking, these people, like at my gym now, they know who I am and it's fine. But I was like, these people don't know who I am. They think I'm some wannabe fitness person that's going to like start whacking her ass out. And like, I'm just like, and it's like, there you are really like you are doing something that is out the norm. Like when you are recording content in the gym. But even so, like nothing bad's ever happened. Like there probably has been people that judge me and like, fair enough, but it's my job, so it's just what it is. And it's like you just keep on going. And so if you're going in to do some bicep curls, like no one's judging you. Like they're just happy that you're there looking to improve yourself. So yeah,
I think that is a big part of gymtimidation, is that the phrase that people use, is what other people are thinking. And the idea that everybody's looking at you and you're going to mess it up, or they're going to be looking at you like Jamie's doing his weird exercises, being like, that guy has no idea. You know, that is what we're all more afraid of than anything, I think.
Yeah.
Other people's thoughts. Have you got any like useful tools or exercises that you help people kind of put those thoughts to one side?
I think there is the one side of most people don't notice, as you say, like most people are too invested in their own things. But it's human nature sometimes to look at someone and go, oh, what are you doing? But that is going to be a second thought in their day. They're going to forget about it once they've turned the corner and done something else. It's not actually going to affect you that massively. And what will probably affect you more is if you keep putting off doing the things that you want to do for yourself because of someone that you've never even met, that you don't even care about, realistically. And it's like I say, and that is such a minority, those people that would have that kind of thought of like, oh, is she doing that right? It's not something that is necessarily massively negative. And even if it was, as I say, it's still not going to, you're not going to know that. You might be in your head though, but you're not going to know if they do that. And at the same time, as I say, it's still worth you going in and doing your thing. Because they'll forget about it in 2 seconds, even if they have had a negative thought. So, yeah.
I think the other thing you mentioned earlier, which is really important, is about not being afraid to get a PT or a coach or have an induction.
100%.
And I think a lot of the time people find gym staff intimidating and they don't want to approach them, they don't want to ask for help, they don't want to, go over and say, am I doing this right? But having worked in a gym, you're like, please come and speak to me because there's nothing else to do apart from clean the equipment. Like, I'd love to speak to you. So the gym staff are not thinking you're annoying if you go over and ask for help, are they?
No, not at all. Not at all. And if you happen to find someone that's like that, that's a them problem, not a you.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
And honestly, the fitness industry does not pay well. So if somebody's working in a gym, it's because they actually care about helping other people get fit and healthy, and they've got a passion for it. So it literally will make their day if you can go and ask them for help and they can show you something or teach you something or help you get that moment where something clicks. That will make their day. You're not annoying them. Please go and ask them.
Yeah. I think as well, like with that, so many people get so much joy from helping others. So let other people do that for you. Think about the joy you get from doing that. Most people, like, if you like give a gift or something, that feels really nice to do. But then when it's getting received, you're like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. Don't want to be a burden. Don't want to be put out. But it's like, actually, you're giving that person joy by letting them help you sometimes. I think that's sometimes a nice perspective if you struggle to ask for help. Of like, people like to give help. Let them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then the other thing I think people get like intimidated by is what we started the conversation with, is like looking the part.
Oh yeah.
Well, that it does fucking annoy me. I'm not even gonna lie. It just does like back in my day when I used to go to the gym when I was 15. Like no one did really care. Like you just wore like whatever shorts you had for football or tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like you just, and now when you go to gym and you go to some gyms, it's like a fashion show, or it feels like it, which is wild that that's what it's become. And then obviously there is that part of it, like, do I need to dress this way or do this way? And it's just like, just put on a pair of shorts, or leggings and a hoodie and just get in there and get going. But I get it, because it has completely changed, especially over the past 10 years.
And I think especially for women as well, like if you go on social media, there is this look that...
Oh, I see it for men as well, where it's like the vest and the strings have to get thinner and thinner to expose more of the chest.
And more of the nipple. Yeah.
And more of the nipple, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's definitely... in the women's world, what, like, it's now the scrunch leggings that lift the cheeks, or the sports bra that shows the most back. And like, if you wear that and it makes you feel more confident and it does help you go, like, sure, but like, don't feel like you need to. Like, yeah, as you say, we both went to work out this morning in our pajamas. So.
I love that. Yeah.
I actually, someone asked me a while ago, like, can I post more fitness content on my Instagram? And I was like, honestly, no, because 90% of the time it's in my house, in my bra and my pants, because I can't even be asked to get dressed. Like, and they're not nice. It's not like a sexy shoot. It's like a beige cotton bra.
The reliable. The reliable one, yeah.
But I do think there is this, idea, especially if it's someone that's new to the gym, they've got to go out and buy all this new stuff and get the best trainers and have like this nice outfit. You really don't. It's one thing to be able to say that, it's another thing to be able to do that. So I think a nice middle ground for somebody who feels a bit uncomfortable is just make sure you can move comfortably in what you're wearing. Because I remember when I was overweight, I would wear like baggy t-shirts because I didn't feel nice. But I actually found they were so annoying that I got to the point that I was like, I'm just going to wear tight stuff anyway, because this is just, I'm spending more of my time like getting it out of my face or like untucking it or it's stuck in my armpit because there's too much fabric, that I'm just going to wear a tight top anyway. So I would say don't go with preconceived ideas of like what you are and aren't going to feel good in. If you can just go, get in the gym, see how you feel. It doesn't need to be a specific thing. And then after a couple of sessions, you'll probably have an idea of what's going to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, and that sometimes develops. I so often see it. People they start off, they think they need to get all the gym kits. They get like all the gear, and then after about 3-6 months, go, this is expensive. And so then it's the hoodies and pajamas that it will get you one day.
it's also like a bit of a form of procrastination as well, isn't it? Sometimes it's giving yourself all the reasons why you can't do the thing instead of just starting. And sometimes, because that's the hardest step, isn't it? Most of the time, it's just starting.
Yeah.
And then it's like that. Like I started climbing, and I was like, right, I'm not getting a membership unless I go for a month. So I just paid daily pass, and then I was like, after 3 months, I was like, I'm not going to buy anything else. And then I bought chalk, and then I went for a bit longer, and then I bought shoes. So I kind of tried to, because typical me would have been, well, if I'm going to start climbing, I need to have the best shoes and the best this and that, you know. And it's the same thing with the gym, isn't it? We almost tell ourselves these reasons of why we can't do something instead of just getting started and progressing along the way. Yeah.
So we've talked about why people might be a bit intimidated of going to the gym. What are the other things that you find hold people back from getting started when they know, like, deep down they want to get a bit stronger, they want to get healthier, but they just haven't done it yet? Why do you find that is?
I think there's certainly a couple things that go into this. I would say one is just understanding what to do. Like, so often people go in and it is like there's so much, there's machines, there's cardio, like where do I even start? I think that is, again, a reason why people might procrastinate. Go, I haven't got the perfect plan. So if I haven't got the perfect plan, I can't start. And like we've just said, sometimes just starting, getting something done means that you can then start to find your way with those sorts of things. And that's exactly, again, shameless plug, why I did the free program, because you can get rid of that excuse. It's free. It's 10 weeks. You've got no excuse. Go use that and see how that takes shape. And then, yeah, just touched on that there. I think the other reason why people hold back from starting is because they think they need to do it perfectly for it to be worthwhile. And that is so far from the truth with so many aspects of things, but especially strength training. Like the first time you go and do, say, a deadlift or a squat, it's probably going to be your worst deadlift or your worst squat you ever do. And that's fine because you're learning, and it's got to have that acceptance of that you are going to be a beginner. Like you are going to have to learn. You are going to get better over time. And that means that the first step is going to be, it might be a bit messy, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're crap. It doesn't mean that like you're going to stay crap. It's one way. It's if you embrace that and allow yourself to build from that and like take that progress in not that linear line, take it with the highs and lows with it. I think that just opens so many doors to being able to feel confident with your strength training. That embracing that kind of imperfect action to start, I think, yeah.
And I think it's important to say as well, you don't have to go to the gym to start.
There's also that, yeah.
So
100%.
if you think, I feel really out of my depth going to the gym, but I do want to get a bit stronger, like maybe you've got a health reason, maybe you're starting to get a bit older and thinking like my knees are starting to hurt, whatever reason it is, you can just do some squats in your front room and like do some push-ups against your kitchen counter and start there. Like you're saying, starting is the main thing. And then when you do get to the point you think, I can do 20 squats in my front room. Okay. Maybe then going to the gym doesn't feel as intimidating because there's at least one thing you can do in the gym and you can hold the smallest weight that they have, but you won't feel out of your depth completely.
100%. And that's actually so often, we work with a lot of people that are too afraid to get into the gym to begin with. So we start off at home and we'll do like a 6-8 week phase at home where we just learn the foundation movements. So I always kind of put that as like a squat pattern, a hinge pattern. So like your deadlifts, like your pushing movements. So that is like push-ups or bench pressing, your pull movements, which are like rows or pull downs. And if you have some resistance bands or some dumbbells, or even just some stuff you can put in a backpack to make that a bit heavy, you can pretty much do all the core movements that you're going to just go do in the gym, but using maybe slightly heavier weights or a machine. And it's almost like you get your practice reps at home, and then all you just do is take that and just do it in a different different room. You're just doing it. It's like going from your dining room to your living room, just people are sitting in your living room. It's like, it's one of those of like, you can just do those same movements in a different environment. And that is quite often like the transition we take people through of you start off at home. It's usually like a 6-8 week program. And then we'll do pretty much the same one with maybe a leg press thrown in there. So you can start to use one of the machines and start to feel at home there. And yeah, that's a really, really great way if you are feeling intimidated to have that structure to that. I think that's a great way to go about it.
And then another thing that I think often happens with beginners is they get this plan. They're like, I'm going to go do it. Go and do leg press for the first time. Oh, I can't walk for 3 days. So that then often puts people off going back for another week, and then they go again, and then they hurt for 3 days again, and they're like, this gym thing, not for me. It's miserable. So how do you overcome that?
So get used to being in pain. I'm joking. So I think something that I always set the expectation with is the first couple of weeks are where your body's probably going to argue with you most, because it is something that is new. And it's like there is going to be an element of like, even if you take things light, there's going to be a bit of soreness. Obviously, we don't want to purposely make you as sore as possible so that you're just like as a mummy for the next 2 weeks. So what we usually do in the first 2 weeks of any training phase, if it's your first time ever training, is we don't do too much. So we keep the sets quite low. We don't say push it close to failure. So we don't say be really intense and like hammer yourself with it. Like try to take the movement slowly, just use that time to set the foundations to hit good form, because that's going to be the thing that you're going to take forwards anyway. You're not going to make that massive muscle gains in the first 4 weeks of training anyway. It takes you a while for your body to catch up to then actually start to grow. So you can kind of dispel that thought of like, oh, I need to build all this muscle or get super strong now. It's like, put that on the shelf for a little bit and just use this time to focus on technique. As I say, don't try to do too much. So don't go in and do like 30 sets. Instead, try to keep that to maybe closer somewhere to like 10 sets of all your exercises together, for example. And that should reduce the soreness. And then after that point, try to prioritize things that are going to help with recovery. So get some good sleep, start eating a bit more protein, maybe go for a walk, so that you don't seize up for the day. Like that's quite typical. You do a leg day and then you sit down for 16 hours the next day and you're like, why do I hurt? It's like if you go for a couple of walks, get the blood flow going, those things that you can do just to kind of ease that a bit. And then I'd say a really important thing is don't program hop early on. Stick to the same workouts over the course of the week. Repeat those same workouts, because your body's going to start to get used to those movements that you're doing. And then that soreness is going to probably be very minimal after the first couple of weeks of training is what we tend to see. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is that they do random exercises and then they go in and they do another lot of random exercises and then they're constantly sore. When you do the same workout, you get a bit used to it. Yeah. And I will quickly throw in there, this is a really common question we get, is like you get to about week 3 or 4 and they go, I'm not sore. What's going wrong? It's like you're complaining that you were sore and now you're not sore. It's like, what's wrong?
It's weird though, because people kind of get a little bit addicted to it. Like, oh, if I'm sore, then I've had a good workout.
Yeah, I remember I had a client and they were doing, the hula hoop thing. Oh. And she liked it because it bruised her. Wow. And I was like, we need to talk. We need to put that down, because it's like, that's not doing anything towards the actual goal that you have. Like, that's like bruising. It's not going to either drop body fat from your waist, which is what you're wanting, or build muscle. It's like, you just literally if someone came and punched you in the stomach, would you go, oh yeah, that was a good workout? Like, no, let's not do that. But it's, I think that thing of that association with soreness, it so often can be misled, because when you start out, it's the reason that you get it mostly is because you're doing something novel. It's something new. That's where your body is going to be most sore, not when it's making the most gains. Like, it's one where over time that soreness will probably reduce drastically. You might still have a little bit. Most people still have like a tiny bit. More like a case if you squeeze the muscle, you go, oh yeah, I trained that. Yeah. Like you kind of feel, a little bit maybe, not, oh my gosh, going to the toilet is a mental and physical and emotional task.
I think if you're getting that sore all the time, that's like a sign of like poor recovery. So like I'd say either you're either training too much, or your nutrition and your sleep is so poor that your body isn't able to recover from the damage that
you're smashing a bottle of vodka after every session or something. That's another reason. Like that's one thing I will say. If you're going to do your first couple of weeks of training, try not to go on any heavy sessions, like drinking sessions. I've done that, made that mistake before.
Heavy workouts, and then I've gone out drinking for the night, and the DOMs that you get last like a week and a half, like no joke. Like
awful.
It's so bad.
Awful.
It's so bad. Yeah, like do not do that.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend if you are going to drink, space it away from a workout. Give yourself a chance to recover in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then I think full body workouts, because I've seen clients do that before. Like, I've been going to the gym for a month and I'm still getting really sore, but they're doing like legs on Monday, and then the next week they're doing legs on Wednesday. It's like 9 days between, and then they're doing it again. It's like another 9 days. And it's not enough. If they were doing 3 workouts and they were beginners and done full body on each one, they'd see quite quickly, because they're training the legs 3 times a week, that the DOMs would reduce like really, really fast.
Yeah, and I guess as well, if you're doing 1 session a week, to get the, like, usually it's very, very high volume, so a lot of sets in one day. And it's like, if your body's struggling to handle like all of that work in one day, that could potentially, so if you're spreading that out a bit more equally over the course of the week, it's something to certainly look at,
Yeah, I think that ties into one of the questions I wanted to dig into, actually, around like what a program should look like, because you mentioned about program hopping, and I think that is something we can all be guilty of the next shiny thing, or that program promises this result in 6 weeks, I'll do that, and then 4 weeks in you see another one that has an even better promise, and so you want to do that. And it is really tempting. And even I've found as well, because I've been trying a few different like prenatal ones out at the moment, none of them have consistent workouts. That it's like every day's a different workout, and it's like completely random. It'll be like back and core, and then the next day it'll be lower body and arms. You're just like, what's going on here? But I think there's like this idea that workouts shouldn't be boring, so we have to mix it up.
Yeah.
But all of us know actually workouts probably should be a bit boring, because that's how they're going to be really effective.
Yeah, not necessarily boring, is it? But it's like
routine.
More routine. That, like, it's the fundamentals and the basics, isn't it?
Yeah, so the fundamentals will be to be at least having a large chunk of your training to be repetitive. Like, I think I saw a post a while ago of like, strength training is basically 20 like movements on rotation that you do until you die. It's not anything that much sexier than that. But like, in terms of like general programming, it is like normally having the same workouts. Like, it might be 3-4 workouts over the course of the week, but they're going to be the same workouts repeated week after week. And if you're thinking, but Rachel, that sounds awfully boring, awfully boring, there's 2 things that I usually combat that with. Is one, progression is not boring. The cool thing about doing the same workouts each week is you can see, oh, I've nudged 2 kilos on there. That's a bit fit. I've done another rep than I did last week, and then spread that over 4 weeks. You go, when I first started this, I could only leg press, say, 100 kilos for 8 reps. I've just done 110 for 9. Wow, I'm strong. That feeling is so much more fun than I'm just doing something new and going in and winging it because I get too bored too soon. It's like, give it a go. See if you actually find it fun, because so many people actually go, you know what, actually, I just need to stick to it longer. And those results are actually way more fun than the program hopping that I thought I was going to get that dopamine effect from. And then the other thing is, like, if you do really struggle with like doing the same workouts week in, week out, what I would say is maybe just have like the core movements, keep them the same. So like the big movers. So things like if you're doing a deadlift variation or a squat variation or a bench press or a back, like those primary like compound movements potentially, like stick them in there, keep them the same.
Do you use the big 6 at all?
Like it's
it's similar to like what you've been saying. It's basically all compound movements are made up of these 6 exercises, which is like
like movement patterns.
An overhead press, a horizontal press, an overhead pull down, a horizontal row, and then
I thought you meant it like because it's always like strictly on barbell, so it wouldn't be. It'd be like those patterns.
It's basically any of those 6 movements, and you train your whole body, and then hip hinge and sort of some sort of leg press, like squat or anything is it. So so
you might keep like those big movers the same because they're usually more technical, so you're going to need more time to perfect the form or be decent with the form, and you can usually project like you can usually push them on and progress them for months. Like I've had deadlifts in my program for 3 years, they haven't come out. Like they stay in for a really long time. But it's one of those.
Have you changed the variation of deadlifts?
Actually, not for deadlifts. No, there's a few movements that have been exactly the same, like dumbbell shoulder press that stayed in for probably a good 9 months at this point. Like, so there's quite often some core movements that you'll keep in for months at a time because, as I say, they're more technical to learn. The progressions, you can usually progress them for a long time. It's usually your brain that gets bored before your body does, but you try to keep at that. But if you find doing everything the same, usually maybe some of those isolation movements, sometimes I like to have a bit of variety. So like at the stage of training my mat, I tend to have, for example, just a bicep curl variation. And it might be two that I kind of swap between. It might not be optimal on paper, but I do find it gives a little bit more spice for myself. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll rotate some of those because I don't really mind about it too much. And it does bring a bit of variety in with some of those movements. So it doesn't need to be exactly the same all the time, but I'll say at least like 90% keep that grounded in there. So that's usually how I kind of work around that.
The other thing that I actually really like about having the same program for weeks or even months is you don't have to think too much. Like you can just do. And I was definitely guilty of going to different classes and program hopping and like trying to confuse my body back in the day, because apparently
that was a big thing.
That's what we needed to do.
Shock the body, wasn't it?
Confuse your metabolism.
Oh yeah. It doesn't know where your calories are coming from.
Yeah.
It's like Fruit Ninja in real life, isn't it?
Whereas now, I love the fact that I don't even have to look at my program. I know where I need to go when I walk in the gym. I know what I need to do. I just do it. And for me, it makes it more of like a mindful practice where I can just focus on what I'm doing, because I know what I'm doing it. I know how to do it because I've been doing it for long enough, like the same thing. And you can just get in the moment. Whereas I think when you're constantly looking for, like you said, that dopamine hit, or like, oh, what's the next jazzy thing? Or am I doing this right? You're actually taking away from what you're actually there for, which is to get stronger and to have a bit of you time, which, well, for me anyway, that's what I'm there for. For me, I actually find it all a distraction if it's all too different. And so I think if somebody is thinking, well, I thought that was what I had to do, actually it's another reason to try just sticking with the same program. And you might actually find it gives you a bit more like peace and like enjoyment of your gym sessions, because you're not constantly worrying, am I doing it right? Am I doing the best thing that I need to be doing? You just get on and do it.
Yeah, and even linking that back to some of the earlier things that we've spoken about of feeling more confident in the gym. It's like if you're doing the same 15 movements, for example, you're going to be more confident if you're doing those week in, week out. Like you're going to be super confident in those in like 6-8 week times. But if you're doing a different workout each time, it's like that journey to being confident in those movements is just going to take longer. If you're doing a leg press but not doing it again for another 3 weeks and thinking, oh, how do I set up this machine again? Oh my God, I'm stressed out by that. Oh God, that machine scared me last time and now it's scaring me again. Whereas if you'd done it every single week for like 5-6 weeks, that actual mental confidence, certainly.
Yeah, it's weird the way we do this with the gym or exercise, because in anything else, like if you went and played another sport, so you're playing tennis, I'm going to work on my backhand. You'd consistently just work on your backhand until you got really good at it. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to work on my backhand this week and I'm going to work on this move this week. You wouldn't just keep changing the movement. You'd be like, oh, I'm just going to keep...
know. I used to play tennis, and then to improve it, I'll play golf now and then, just to like throw it in there. Why when you play football, I played rugby, because, that helped.
But you know what I mean? Like it makes sense, doesn't it? Like if you go and do leg press every week for 6 months, like, do you think you're going to be better or worse at leg press? It's like you're going to be better, with learning the movement patterns. So, program hopping is like, it's just like this. It's the slowest way to build the skill of all the movements, and I wish more people could kind of understand that, because it's.
Yeah, and on that note of timelines, I think it's important that we address expectations around like strength gains and muscle gains. I know probably for a lot of our listeners, they're used to having a goal, like maybe a physique goal that might be weight loss or fat loss. And actually, you can see changes pretty quick. Like if you dial it in and you are focused on losing weight, you can see that scale come down pretty much every day, every other day, over a week for sure. If you go to the gym for 4 to 6 weeks, you might not visibly see that much difference.
Probably no difference in that time. Yeah,
unless you're also dialing in your nutrition as well.
It's probably the nutrition changes that you're seeing, like more than like the actual muscle gain. Like it's one of those, if you think fat loss is slow, boy, you are in for a ride if you are focusing on muscle gain. And actually, when I first started, I was very, very feeble, the right word. I don't know why that came up in my head, but I was a bit of a stick in terms of just like no muscle mass. So I actually started off like building muscle a bit more than fat loss to begin with, and it was one where it's just like a bit of a slow process, kind of seeing it go that way round. So you just kind of got to be ready for like the slower progress with that, for sure. Yeah.
I also find like with like a great piece of advice on like strength building, because some people just like can't figure out like, why am I getting so much stronger on, say, my legs than my shoulders? And the easiest way to just think about it is like, your legs are the biggest muscles in your body. So if you just looked at your legs, you could be like, look at the size of my thighs, my hamstrings, my glutes. You know, they're all big muscles. So if, say, I'm doing leg press, I might find in like 6 weeks I could put like an extra 10 kilo on, and I'm still doing like, you know, I'm doing reps, versus like you're doing like a lateral raise or a shoulder press, and you're like, I can barely, I go into the next 1 kilo up, feels like I'm, you know, lifting a mountain. But if you look at the size of the muscle on the shoulder, it's like fractional and just to next to your quad. You know, so it's like, because it's the size of the muscle does make, but sometimes people struggle with this, like, why am I progressing so fast on my legs but not my upper body? And it's often down to just the size of the muscle. It just can't add as much. Like going up a 2.5 kilo increment on your upper body is considerably more than doing it on, say, your lower body.
Yeah, 100%. And even with that as well, like, not trying to get too nerdy or take it too far away, but things like, if you think about like a lateral raise, I don't know if people listening will be able to do it. It's like the weight here, like I could hold this all day, but out here, that starts to be a bit more challenging. So with leg presses and stuff, you don't necessarily have that challenge of the weight being further away from your body. So something like a lateral raise, yeah, like as you say, like going up a kilo on a lateral raise, that might take a year to do. And like, I think I've been training, what 10 years? And I'm up to, I was proud of myself, got a 10 kg lateral raise, which was, I was like, this is the best day of my life. Yeah, I was like, this is the best day of my life. But it's like, but yeah, obviously if you did that on a squat, you're like, 10 kg, like you start maybe somewhere close to that and those sorts of things. So yeah, I think certainly recognizing not just different muscle groups, but just like the different movement pattern, there can be other things other than just the muscle working that can make that movement harder. Another one with sticking to lateral raises is like, if you do it on the dumbbell and then you go over to a cable, it's like 2 kg on a dumbbell and then 2 kg on a cable. It feels like about 100 kilos difference, because the cable, you're also fighting the cable as well as the gravity. So it's like there's other things that are going to be going on with movement. So in terms of not comparing lifts, I think that is really important, because people go, oh, I've only, say, gained a kilo on my lateral raise this year, I'm weak. It's like, no, you're actually doing pretty well. So I think it is looking at it from that relative perspective, and yeah, sometimes thinking, and this is why I'm a big fan of like login training, of like looking for the little PBs. Like, don't go for PBs only when I've gone up 10 kilos. Like, a PB is if you've got another rep on the same weight, or if you're doing, for example, a squat, instead of doing 50 kilos and then go straight to 60 kilos, which I see so many people do, whack on 5s each side because it looks a lot, or doesn't look like a lot. It's like, you can go up 1.25. Like 1 kilos, you can go up, like, and it's like utilising those smaller increments and like celebrating those little progressions that you see. If you're seeing that go in the right trend, even if it is just like a little bit here and there each week, that compounds massively over time. And I know you probably talk about like the compounding effects, and it's like in strength training, just like with weight loss and habits and everything, it's massive. Of like, you might think, adding 2.5 kilos onto my deadlift once a month or like every month, that's not a lot. Put that over a year, put that over 2 years, put that over 3, it becomes an awful lot amount of weight. And it's like sometimes just being comfortable with those slow increments, I think, is really important. Yeah.
All like Olympic weightlifters who have like ever competed at the Olympics use the 1.25 kilogram, the smallest plates possible inside the gym, because like they just follow that exact principle, which is just like, how can I add a tiny bit more that I can start to progress on? And they just again do that over months and years. You were telling us before, and I think just kind of ties the story in quite well. You're telling us about one of your clients who's in her 60s. And I think it's just a great reference point of like timelines, because some, you know, what we have been saying about like fat loss and muscle gain and how long some of this can take. But I do feel like most people are in this like right here, right now, 3 months, 6 weeks, 12-week shred. But you know, this lady was 3 years, was it?
3 years, yeah. She worked with me for 3 years, yeah.
And her starting point was?
So her starting point, the numbers might be, I think it was 125 kilo or 130 kilos. I think she started when she was working with me, and
that's how much she
weighed. Yeah, and at that point she was struggling to do more than maybe 3,000 steps a day. Struggled to be going up and down stairs, and it was actually her daughter heard me on a podcast actually and said, go talk to her, I think she might be able to help you, she swears a lot, so I think she'll get on. And so she was like, she put me in touch with her and we started working together. Yeah, well, it was a few years ago now, but when we first started working together. And so with her, a really big thing was making those first steps accessible, because a lot of movement was painful, and like both mentally and physically there was quite a few barriers with that. So we started off, because like she had quite a bit of pain with walking, we got her a stationary bike and just built up a bit of cardio and fitness through that, and then just some weights at home we started her off with, and just learning some of the basic movements such as of like squats and deadlifts, and finding out what was pain-free and things. And so with that, it was starting off with actually reduced range of motion, not like I say, not the sexiest squats you've ever seen, but ones that were starting her off and building that initial like muscle mass. And yeah, it was a case of over 3 years. I know this is going to be a huge jump of where she was 3 years later, but she actually went off on her own, and she's still killing it on her own, which is my favourite thing, is that she's still doing that. I think she's now, when she left, she was around 90 kilos, and she was able to do 10,000 steps a day. She was in the gym, strength training, and she sent me a picture at a family party of she had just finished doing all the fence that I did the family party. She helped prep for it, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go and build their fence because it's for my daughter and grandkid." I was like, "Oh, I'll help out," and so was like gardening and like helping out and doing life stuff. And I think that was. She's like one of my favourite clients, like stories that I've seen, because the amount of life she got back from that, like taking it like slow but steady, and embracing being a beginner. Maybe when people go, "Oh, well, there's no point doing it after your 60s," like she saw so much progress, and say she not only probably has added more life, like years to her life, but we hope a lot better ones as well, because that quality, that quality of life there. She can go walking with her grandkids. She can do so much now, and she doesn't even think twice about going up and down the stairs. When she was working, she was like, "I take the stairs up to my office every day now," whereas before she'll get the elevator and those sorts of things. And it's like, yeah, those changes, it's like they didn't happen overnight. They were very, very slow things. I think like the first win we had was like she could put her trousers on without needing to sit at the end of the bed, and like those sorts of things. Just like, "Oh, I'm getting balance, I'm getting coordination back, I'm starting to see some of that muscle mass I'm not having to like use the size of my chair to stand up anymore."
They become
like
real motivators.
They're like, you see those things happen, and it's just like that quality of life change is irreplaceable. And yeah, some of that was down to the fat loss, but a lot of it was down to the training as well. And like obviously the combination of the two was a completely transformative experience, which was it was freaking beautiful to witness for sure. Mad proud of her for that. But
Yeah, well, I think just like managing expectations, because I hear like, you know, when you speak to people when you're out sometimes. It's like a couple of weeks ago I was speaking to someone, and they were in their late 50s, and they were like, "Oh well, it's too late now. You know, I like being fit and healthy. It's just like it's too much work. I'd rather die fat and happy. And you know what I mean? Like I'd rather just like enjoy my food and it's like in your late 50s and you've lost so much of your quality of your life already, and you basically you're signaling to me like you're giving up. You know what I mean? Or like this is the path that you're going to continue to go down. And it's just like, what a shame. You know, when you see someone like that who's in the 60s and 3 years later lost all this weight, you know, transformed their body composition, living, you know, a healthy life and a quality life where they're able to just, you know, get all those little things back, and it makes such a difference. But just shows you like it is never too late to start as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important actually that you shared that, because a lot of people listening might be thinking, "Oh, this is interesting, but it doesn't really relate to my life." But when you put it in the context of like, it means she can go out and help her daughter build a fence, or like, you know, just life stuff that actually you wouldn't have been able to do or even entertain the idea of. That's what strength training gives you. And it's not about how you look in clothes, and it's not about having a certain body fat percentage or any of that stuff. It's about like your functional ability to enjoy your life. I think that gets lost in all the, like, we've talked quite technically today about like what exercises you should do, or, you know, what your program should look like. Actually, it's a program that is going to make your life more livable for you, is what all of us want our clients to have. There are ways that are better to do that than others, but actually that's what the end goal is.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of roads that lead to Rome as well. There's obviously roads that take you around the whole world and then get you there. But like, I think like you can get lost in the noise in social media of like doing the perfect way to do things, when there's lots of ways that work. So you mentioned things like training splits over the course of the week. There's lots of training splits that work. And sometimes it's about finding what works for you, what you can be consistent with, what you can see progression with, which is, I think, in all of our coaching, that's what we look at, is like keep it, like measuring that progress and keeping it consistent, not changing it for the sake of changing it. And I say that might look different to two people, but you can't find out those stuff that work without trying and starting, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice that you said that there are lots of ways, but some take you all the way around the world, because we've all been there and tried all the many ways, and then eventually gone, oh yeah, actually the one that's a bit boring is probably the way.
Yeah, it's the scenic routes before you go, okay, actually the motorway, that's just going to get me there, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah, but actually there's still value in that journey, isn't there?
100%.
And I know when you were younger, you said you went down a rabbit hole of like going a bit extreme, trying all these different things. And it took doing that for you to then settle on balance and a sustainable routine. Can you share that journey a bit more?
I can share lots of parts. There's definitely lots of parts to my journey in terms of there was lots of scenic routes taken, which is where I'm at now. Is a lot of what I've learned is actually from my mistakes. So when I was, it was a few years after I started training, and it was when I got to like university, so like 4 or 5 years after I started training. Not to say that those first 4 or 5 years I was doing things well. It was more I was just doing it as part of a routine. I'll do the same thing. I'll go in, do a leg press and walk home. It wasn't anything that drastic to say. It was there to kind of support mental health. But when I kind of started going, I can change my body. I can start to look a certain way. I can get really strong. I kind of went, let's go a bit all in on this. And yeah, to begin with, like the resources that I was using, there wasn't that many at that point of like, it was lots of forums and websites, right? Like it was before the age of social media. And it was a case of the information that I was following was a bit daft. And I was, if you could imagine someone that program hopped the most, it would be me. I think every 2 weeks, if something wasn't working, I was doing the next thing. And each of my approaches was super extreme as well. I went through cutting carbs. I went through carb cycling. That was a thing once upon a time. I went through eating nothing but clean. I went through a phase where like seasoning and salt was not a part of what I could eat for some reason.
Sorry,
I don't even know.
What?
I don't even know where that one came from.
No seasoning at all?
No, I just had plain chicken, plain sweet potato and peppers in coconut oil. I don't even know where I got that one from. I think it was a concoction of lots of bad, like, honestly, I look back and I just wish I could wobble my head, but as I say, we learn from our mistakes. And I think, the worst program I followed was a 6-week shortcut to shred where you'd lift heavy weights and then jog on the spot in between and lift heavy weights so you could burn fat and build muscle at the same time, because you'll be building muscle when you lift and then burning fat as you did the cardio. And so you put it together and you're doing both. And
I definitely did a variation of that.
Absolute bullshit. Yeah. Absolute bullshit. Painful, unproductive. I was weak, sad, and just didn't really kind of get anywhere. And then
just weak and sad.
just weak and sad. Yeah, bad place to be. And then but I was going into the extremes each time. I was like, I would adopt a method and be like, that's my personality now for 2 weeks. It was a weird time of life. It only lasted probably about a year of when I just kind of went down those rabbit holes. But then I was kind of forced to stop because I had a nasty injury playing football. I fell over nothing. I wish it was heroic, like goal-saving tackle, but I literally changed direction and my knee was like, no, not for you. And tore a few ligaments, which resulted in needing a couple surgeries, and it was a big ordeal. But over that time where I couldn't really train, or I was in the perfectionist mindset, in hindsight, I probably could have trained other bits. But at that point, I was like, well, if I can't do any program, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to read about it. And then I happened to stumble across more evidence-based practices around training, nutrition. So shout out to 3DMJ guys. They saved me on a on a route that was going somewhere very, very south. But then started listening to a lot of podcasts and starting to do further reading, and then actually went and got like qualifications in personal training, nutrition. I actually then went down the rabbit hole, but it was a good rabbit hole. It was evidence-based rabbit hole. So that obsession of doing lots of stuff that didn't work, found the things that this has actually got evidence behind it, and spent a few years kind of like learning that when I was in and out of surgeries and things. And when I was able to come back and train properly, and I stuck to the same program for 6 months, I was like, light bulb. Okay, that's where things really started to work. I started to see noticeable body composition changes, noticeable strength changes, much more so than I saw before. And so that was like obviously quite a cool thing. And then over the first year of that was great. I was just like, this is living my best life. But then even that I took to the extreme. Even the evidence-based stuff of eating mostly nutritious food, like understanding calories, understanding protein, getting good sleep, getting my training on point. I then took that to the nth degree of being optimal with that. I went down that rabbit hole, which I know some people love that and live that, and they continue to love and live that. But through my experience, when I took that to a bit of an extreme of, I had the obsession of like, I want to get abs. I want to have veins across my forearms and look like an absolute baddie. I got there. I did get there. I've been quite lean a couple times, but each time it's never really made me feel that happier. And if anything, a little bit sadder because I've been like weaker. My performance has kind of started to, I've taken it to like those levels of extremes. And it's just like even though I've got to that leanness that I thought in my head, like, well, that's when I'll be feeling my best. It's like, actually, it's not really much.
And most bodybuilders on stage feel the absolute worst.
Yeah, the leaner you go, I feel the more critical you are of yourself.
There's that too, yeah.
Because I think you're so focused on it that you are thinking everything I'm doing is going towards this. Why don't I still look like that? And it's like, I think you kind of start chasing your tail a little bit. And so I definitely went down that rabbit hole. And
did it affect you hormonally at all? Like when
I didn't. Fortunately, I never lost my period or anything along those lines.
Because that's like typical when some women get really lean.
Yeah, with women, there's definitely. If you're at that stage, freaking get out of a deficit. Like, just get out. But fortunately, no. I think looking back, I was fortunate. I don't really know why. I think it's because I took it quite slow and I didn't go on like ridiculously low calories at any point. I just chipped away for a very long time. And probably an ounce of luck sprinkled in that as well. But I never lost anything like that. It was mainly like the mental like impacts it had. At the time, I don't think I really recognised it, but it was like things like social events. People would be having like a pizza party and I'll take my calorie tracked, macro tracked, like chicken and broccoli and rice and stuff. It wasn't necessarily that. It actually I had seasoning by that point in my life, so it was fine. But it was just like that anxiety around food of like, is that going to fit in? And that just didn't marry up to what is a happy life or a rich life for me. And again, some people might have that, but I don't think most people do. I think most people, a thing that makes a happy, rich life is a versatile life where you can enjoy company of your most loved ones, where you can live an experience and be present in that experience rather than thinking, oh, but what are the calories are in this? And those sorts of things. And it's like, it really took away that freedom.
Do you feel like, because I go back and forth with this word balance, like a lot of the time, which is like, to live in balance and harmony feels like a lovely place to be, doesn't it? But sometimes in order to be balanced, say like with your nutrition there, you've almost sometimes got to go through maybe some of the extremes to understand what balance is. So like you going, hey, I just want to like, I just want to be able to go out and socialize, not worry about the calories. But then if you don't like, if you're not mindful maybe at all or balanced, quote unquote, then you could just go out and eat 3,500 calories and not realize and then feel horrendous for it the next day. Yeah. But like, so sometimes going through those maybe extremes or seasons of, like education around food, that can allow you to make more informed, balanced choices.
Yeah, 100%. Like, as I say, I didn't recognise it at the time, but now in hindsight, with those experiences, it better shapes what my values and what my happy places are and the things that are important to me to focus on. And as I say, when you go to those extremes, it actually sometimes presents that and you just didn't necessarily realise it. And so, I think I do agree with that in terms of finding balance. Like sometimes you need to go on either side of the extreme to find that level of discomfort of like, oh, that's actually not the way that I want to exist. And then you can either dial it back or bring it forwards. Because again, if you're going out every 3-4 times a week and not even thinking about what you're having, very easily that can put you to a different place that is also not happy. So I think, it definitely helped form where I feel my best mentally and physically now. And so whether I would change whether I'd done that, like I wish I could go back and be like, just maybe don't go that extreme. But again, I don't know if I would have learned what I did if I hadn't. So so definitely did help kind of open those eyes. And since like those moments, I've kind of just been in a place where I feel happy with like nutrition, where I hover around a place that is probably just over maintenance so I can build muscle. Like I said, I don't really track my food too much. I have like baselines of nutrition that I eat 3-4 protein dense and like plant dense meals a day. Try to be mindful around snacking. When I'm going out to eat, I might have one time a week where I'm a little bit more Devon May care. And then the other times like, I've been out once this week, I'll go for like last night at the hotel, I was like, I go for steak because that's like something that I was like, I'm going out the weekend. So it's like I still have some of like those things that are still kind of there as a baseline, but it's not like, oh my God, I got to do that. It's like, well, I know that's just where I feel at a happy medium. And like now and then I still like every couple of years now, actually, it's but I might run through like a mini deficit. But again, they're never something that is aggressive or brutal or like I take it to like a level where it's for months and months on end or an aggressive deficit. It might be like, oh, now and then I'll just run for a bit of a deficit. It's not a stressful thing anymore. Whereas before it was like, okay, life's got to stop I'm on the deficit now. Whereas now it's like, okay, life's going to continue. I'll just kind of change things a little bit. And then, okay, we've got there and keep calm and carry on. And I just, so that's, I think it's taken a few seasons, as you say, to find the balance that's worked for me. And
it's an empowering place to be as well, because it's like everything you're saying, it's like you're just in the driving seat. It's like, oh, maybe I've overdone it for a little bit, so I'm just going to eat a bit less and lose a bit more fat, and then I'll just get back to my normal plate. But it's like, there's no stress around that versus like previously it's like, holy fucking shit, like I need to, you know what I mean? It's just like,
and like weight gain was like seeing the scale go up, like, oh, that's really stressful. And then, so because you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to brutalize myself to get that back down. Whereas now it's like, well, I can go for a deficit and it's I can do it in a way that doesn't feel awful. So that's fine. So if I wanted to do that, it's fine. But also like, I want to gain muscle, I want to get strong. The scale weight's going to go up a bit. And for my goals, that's actually something that is in line with that. So like changing that perception, I think was an interesting one to go through, which I know a lot of people struggle with. Maybe I know that might be not so much to people that may be listening to this podcast, but there might be some of you of like, oh, I do want to build muscle, not looking to drop any body fat. And there's a really big thing of like the anxiety of seeing the scale go up. And it's like when I first started lifting, I think I was about 56 kilos. I'm 77 now, like, and it's like, so some of that has got a bit of body fat 'cause I'm not as lean as I was before, but most of it is muscle. And if I did go to get a bit leaner, probably at a similar level of leanness, I probably would still be around 67, 68 kilos. So I still probably have gained, if you're thinking about muscle, like a good 10 plus kilos. And obviously that's over like, oh, thanks. But still that's over like a 10-year period though, 10, 12, or actually training, well, probably about 8 years of training maybe.
That's
but
like, so you put that into context, like it's like a kilo of muscle a year.
It's not much,
It's not much at all.
Not
I
much
think
at
this
all.
is a big part where people get really frustrated because we hear this a lot, like, oh, well, I'm not losing fat because I'm building muscle. But like you can lose, fat at like a pound a week or you say half a kilos a week. But like there's no way you could gain muscle that fast, like not even close.
Yeah, there's some newbies that have genetics of ridiculous people. Like with, I think there's probably been over 1,000 people go through our program. I think I've seen 2 people where genuinely something like that is happening, because you can see in progress pictures and measurements, like, well, probably a bit more, but there's a few people where progress pictures and measurements you can see that has visibly changed, whereas the scale hasn't really. And it's like, but they're always newbie lifters. They're not someone that's been training like a year, because you're more sensitive to grow muscle in your first like year of training. So it's usually they've just started, they've touched the dumbbell and their genetics are like, oh, hello, we've been waiting for you to do this. And it's just like, and so what I find so funny is those people get the most frustrated. And I was like, you don't know how lucky you are. It's like, you are so lucky. What I would give if I was in that situation where measurements are changing and like progress pictures are changing, but your scale weight's staying the same. It's like, girl, you're building muscle. That's like so sick. So I think like, it's one of those of that's why taking those other metrics is a good thing to always have, because it sometimes can, or the weight loss might be slower than you would expect, or those sorts of things. Like it can sometimes be there, but as you say, most of the time, if that's happening, especially if measurements and progress pictures stay the same, it's like, okay, there's something that needs to, there's something that's not quite.
But there's one other time where I see it, which is if like say, like if I didn't train now for like the next 3 months and I just like lost a load of muscle and a load of weight, and then I started training again, like I could, because I've got muscle memory, would put that muscle back on pretty quickly. So I've seen that before where someone was quite into the gym for years and then it's taken years off. And then they are like, they have the holy grail of like fat loss and muscle gain, because they train and in 6 weeks they can drop fat and gain muscle because the body remembers having the muscle and it just comes back on really fast. But again, they've already paid down that sort of tax in the past of building that muscle. So that's kind of maybe the only, great genetics like you've just mentioned. And then,
newbies and great genetics together in one. And then say returning from injury, and maybe put in a little bit of that if someone has trained like a bull in a china shop for a while, so never followed a training program, have just done HIIT workouts in the living room, and then they do a strength So I think there's a difference between working out and training.
That's a good point. They already know what intensity
so
is.
they might think they're not a newbie because they've been working out for 2 years, but they've just been doing nothing but burpees or jogging, or like, not to say that none of those aren't like worthy in their own right, but if you're building muscle, like those aren't things that are really gonna like stimulate that much. So maybe put in people in that camp a little bit, because I think that's sometimes where that gets a little bit lost. If people go, you're not a newbie. It's like, well, you kind of are in this sense. You're not a newbie completely, but in that sense you might be. So you can expect some cool stuff. Like embrace it, have fun.
Oh, definitely. Newbie gains are great.
Like now I was like, if I can see half a pound a year, I'm like, yes. It's like,
So just to summarize, like the main thing we've talked about really today is if somebody is thinking like, I probably do want to get strong and I do need to like bite the bullet and get started, if you could give that person like 3 tips so that they don't put it off anymore, what should they go do right now?
You should download my free program. Shameless plug, number 3. And then I would say either get a gym membership or some home weights. So get your environment sorted. Stop procrastinating on it. Like literally do it after you've listened to this. Go do it. Order it off Amazon if you're getting weights, or find your gym. Do a trial day, whatever it needs to do, because you're going to put it off. You're not going to do it if you go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow because it'll be easier. It's not going to be easier tomorrow. Do it now. And I would say the other thing is embrace the imperfect action of being a beginner. So embrace doing it messy. Be prepared for it to feel a bit weird, for it to be a bit uncomfortable, but that's normal. You're normal if it feels that way. You're not broken. You can't. It's not a case of that you can't do it. It's just you're just getting started, and that's part of it. So embrace it.
Nice. And if people do want to come find you online, where should they go?
I've got a final question, which I always like to ask.
Sorry.
Yeah. So you know our big hashtag is cut the bullshit or cut the BS.
Yeah.
So what is like one thing that you see that you would just love for people to cut the bullshit with or cut the BS?
I know
you've got it.
It's something that has been around forever, and I don't think it will ever go away. But I will plead into the void: stop demonising carbohydrates. We want them to lift, man. Like we need our energy. I know it's not a gym one; it's more of a nutrition one. But yeah, I would say that would be great if that could.
Yeah.
That could just die a death.
Embrace the carbs.
Yeah, embrace the carbs. Let them be.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because flipping carnivore is going big and keto is still there.
It goes in the circle, doesn't it? Like 10 years ago, it was keto.
And Atkins.
Oh, Atkins, yeah. Which is basically carnivore, isn't it? Or similar.
Yeah, it's like
It's more like keto.
Oh, okay, I just remember my dad doing it, and it was steaks and nothing but steaks. Maybe that was just his choice of
He did like the high-end version.
Yeah, the high-end, the bougie version. Yeah, ooh la di da.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to go through like a typical life cycle, and then people realise, they do it for a bit and realise, oh, actually, this is really bad. Yeah, we love carbs, and then we seem to forget it like 2 years later. And
all the carnivore people have started eating fruit now because they've realised how bad it was after getting the
fruit and
back.
honey, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my favourite. It's like, fruit and honey because it's natural. We can make that work. Yeah, okay, that's a good one,
But also, you're like, if you're going to have carbs, why would you not just have like slow release, like sweet potatoes rather than honey? There's something that doesn't add up to me there.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, the whole thing, there's nothing that adds up.
If carbs are the enemy, yeah. Anyway. Yes, but if people do want to find you.
On Henley Fitness, on either Instagram, TikTok a bit. Those are the main 2 places.
And how do you spell that, just so people know?
HenleyFitness.
Yeah.
You just asked the dyslexic to do that on the spot. I'm like, panic.
Apologies.
PTSD. I was like, I'm sweating.
Just want to make sure everyone can find you.
Yeah. We'll put it in the description anyway, so people
that'd be great. So I don't actually know if I spelled it right now. I did.
They can just scroll down and find it. Click. Amazing. Thank you so much for making the journey up. I know it's been a bit of a trek.
Yeah,
but it's
thank
been
you
a
very
real
much
pleasure.
for having me. Yeah.
Thank you.